when I was 14, this was what I thought Australia was. Now, unfortunately for me, though, I don't live near a beach anymore, and if I still did everything that I did at 14, well, let's just say I have a much stronger right hand. If you'd ask my friends now what it means to be Australian, it would look pretty much the same, except there'd be a tired irony about it, like, oh, this is totally Australian. Now, there's a very real insecurity in Australia, and the cause is we have this central void in our sense of selves, in our cultural landscape. I mean, sure, we have plenty of empty words like, oh, fair go, mateship, and the Anzac spirit, which I'm not even sure is, but there's very little to hold on to. Now, evidence of our central void is that we rely on Satan's new disciples, advertising executives, to provide compelling visions of ourselves. Or we leave it open to demagogues who are basically sociopaths. And now, I've driven around a lot of Australia by myself recently. I've been trying to map out my own Australia, and the nation I found is very different to what we generally think of. It's a nation filled with people like Australia's first governor, Arthur Phillip, who tried really hard to understand the country he arrived in. He invited Bennelong and Barangaroo to his dining table, and when Barangaroo turned up naked, he didn't blink. Even when Phillip was speared, he didn't retaliate. He didn't have anyone shoot anyone. He just accepted that he had done some injury to the local Aboriginal people. There are people also like the mysterious Ben Boyd, who just arrived in Australia, bought half of New South Wales, and then built this magnificent sandstone tower on the desolate south coast before eventually disappearing. All those artists of the 1940s like Sidney Nolan, Arthur Boyd, Patrick White, Manning Clark, and Donald Horne, who reimagined Australia. These were bold, romantic, creative people who saw what no one else could. Visionaries who fell Icarus-like at the summit of their creations, but who in their fall made Australia. But we never talk about them. Maybe we want our defeats only to be international ones. But the main reason we don't talk about them is because there's no real cultural leadership in Australia. No one wants to take us past that void. The people, organisations and artists who should be talking about us aren't. And it's the organisations like the National Film and Sound Archive who are to blame. Organisations who are too timid to finish the sentence, Australia is. And the National Film and Sound Archive is an institution so afraid that it shows as the pinnacle of Australian endeavour that thong dress, horseshoes, and a slightly racist propaganda film from 50 years ago. And that's not good enough. It's part of these organisations' public duty to tell us who we are, to tell us real stories, and frankly, there are a lot of pages left to fill, so they should get to it.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see.